YouTube, what's up, folks? Good morning. Actually, my day is over. It's 7:35 on the East Coast. I am less than a quarter mile away from my 90, which is appointment time is 1 a.m. But I've been here two other times, and they don't start receiving or taking trucks until 2:30 a.m. So I've left 2 messages with my fleet manager along the way about having sales change it, but apparently. So what I got to do is I got to pull out of here about, I don't know, 12 o'clock or so. Go to the gate. She's going to tell me to turn back around and wait in line along the street. So, whatever. But the good news is I'm done driving. I left Raleigh, Durham, 50 miles east of Raleigh last night in North Carolina. And I said to myself, why should I drive during the day when I can get through Richmond, Baltimore, Washington, Baltimore in no traffic? It's a no-brainer, folks. Clock management, that's what it's about, especially for the new guys coming in from TNT. One thing they don't teach you in TNT, a lot of trainers don't, because you guys are running team. They really don't break down how to utilize the clock as a solo operator. So when you get out on your own, like I was, and I'm sure others were, I was clueless. I didn't know anything about the split times. You know, I would leave my clock running when I'm at the pumps or, you know, different circumstances. You forget to shut your clock off because usually your trainer's got that for you until he or she says, dude, or gal, or whatever. You've got to log in and out, and you've got to go to sleeper berth and get out of sleeper berth. You got to go on duty. You've got to do your pre-trip on duty. You got to do your fueling on duty. And then when you do that, you still forget to turn off your clock and minutes evaporate. And next thing you know, those minutes turn into multiple minutes, if not half hour, 45 minutes in a week. Well, that's not a lot of time, but yeah, 45 minutes is 50 miles down the road in the course of a week that you can't make. So that load may not have, that load, you may have to turn down a load. But you will get all that, and it's not as easy as like, well, do this, and do this. It's actually forming that habit. And it took me several months in calling, I never utilized my trainer, to be honest with you. I was on the truck for so long that I didn't have any real questions. My whole thing was clock management. To remember, like I would put a post-it on my dash. Don't forget to clock out. Don't forget to clock out. As soon as you do a pre-trip, clock out. Right off the off duty. And down the road you go. When I'm sitting at a rest area or a truck stop, as soon as I pull into a spot, go off duty. Remember, anything over 5 miles an hour, even if you're on duty, off duty, whatever, it's going to kick you into the drive line. And when you get kicked into the drive line, you're driving until all of a sudden you get a message on your call comm saying, are you still driving? And then it puts you back into on duty. But on duty is eating away your 11-hour clock. The only way to stop your 11-hour clock is when you bang into a dock, ship a receiver, and you go into sleeper berth. I don't know about you, but when I bang a dock, I go in the back. I don't sit up here. I go in the back and I watch videos or whatever. I'm in a sleeper berth. So anybody that tells you, well, you're not in sleep, you got to be off, they don't know what you're talking. That's not the concept. This is my concept. My concept, as soon as I bang the dock, I'm in sleeper berth. What happens is your 11-hour clock stops. Your 14-hour is going to run. Only time your 14-hour ever stops is when you do a full 10-hour reset. Other than that, it just continues. I'm in sleeper berth right now. My 14-hour clock is going to continuously run. At some point when I look at my clock, it's going to be in the negative. I didn't do anything wrong. It just continuously runs until you do your 10 hours of a sleeper berth, or 8 hours, or so on and so forth. The only time I use split is, for instance, like yesterday, I was at the dock for over 4 hours. I had ran, I don't know, 150, 200 miles yesterday, so I ate a lot of my 11-hour clock back. So in order for me to continue to drive to Raleigh-Durham after I got loaded, I went to split sleeper berth, which gave me an additional 5 hours and 46 minutes to run down the road. It's the only time I use split. I know it's Chinese and right now, but remember two things. Anything over 5 miles an hour, your clock is going to go into drive. Anytime you hit the dock at a shipper receiver, don't go off duty, go into sleeper berth. Again, that stops your 11 and accumulates the time for your split if you need to use a split. And it's worked for me. All right, I really, not to brag about this, or this is not better than another person. I've never done one reset in 2 years I've been on the road, because I didn't know how to manage my clock, and I ended up blowing more than 70 hours in my 8-hour period. I don't drive more than 2 10-hour sessions in an 8-hour day, in an 8-day week. All I do is 8s and 9s, and maybe two 10s. 9.5, 8.5. That preserves my clock, because in turn, if I do 8.5 hours today, I did 7 hours and 43 minutes today of drive time. That 7 hours plus any on-duty time that I accumulated from my pre-trip and my fueling today is going to come back to me next week. That's how recaps work. As long as you stay under the 80 to 70 hours in 8 weeks, whatever you drive that particular day, it's going to come back to you the following week. And if you can remember that, and you'll never have to do recaps ever. And as a solo lease driver, there's nothing more important other than your truck running perfectly. As you guys well know, I've been going through a lot of that stuff lately. Seem to have worked out the bugs, but it's only been a week, not even a week, just about a week. The only tool you got to make money other than your truck rolling down the road is the clock. The clock management is everything in a nutshell. And I hate to keep beating the dead horse, but that's your money maker. That's going to be the difference between you getting paid handsomely each and every week or not. And the only way you're going to get the hang of it, this is for the new folks, is shutting that clock down when you're not driving. Off duty, when you're just hanging out and do your half-hour break. Off duty, once you come off pre-trip, or in the fueling, off duty. Remember those. Remember to do no more than 2 10-hour drive shifts in an 8-day week. You'll have good clock management skills. Again, remember, use a Post-it. Put yourself a reminder on your dashboard, so this way every time you look, or even better, put it on your screen. So this way, there's no way you can miss that message. Because believe me when I tell you, first few months, I was totally forgetting to do my clock like that. And you know why? Because in TNT, I didn't have to worry about that. If I forgot, my trainer would just go ahead and stop my clock. Now, he would remind me, but he never told me the importance of, especially as a solo, the importance of every minute wasted is a minute you cannot get back. So I hope this helps somebody. I really do. And the other part of it too is, we're in winter time. I look at the Weather Channel app probably 5-10 times a day. I know it sounds ridiculous, maybe not that much, but before I go anywhere, I look at the whole country in a whole. What's going on? Because storms move from west to east. It's the way the jet stream is. Sometimes the jet stream dips, so storm's going to follow the way of the jet stream. Plan. You know, if you're on the East Coast and they're talking about rain and rain in the south, maybe that's going to convert to snow when it comes up north. So what do? Do I leave now, or do I not leave now? You always want to beat the storms. I know it's easy, it sounds easy, but you know, we forget this stuff. And the last thing you want to do is you want to start a trip, start your clock, and you can only get a few miles down the road because it's snowing so hard that you need to play. Your anxiety levels are high. Driving in snow is anxiety enough. But now knowing where to stop, especially if you're not used to a certain area of the country, that becomes a whole nother ball of wax. And hey, listen, I drive in the snow, but I also know from the Weather Channel it's going to be light snow. They're expecting a foot. They're expecting 3 inches. What are they expecting? And I'll make a determination based on that. Most of the times on the East Coast, especially like on 95, it's kind of flat. I also know that they take care of the roads a lot better on the East Coast than they do in the middle of Idaho. So plan accordingly and use the Weather Channel app. And there's other apps better than Weather Channel. I'm just using that as a reference point because most people heard of Weather Channel. Just use that as a guide to determine and to set up your day, your pre-trip. You know? And that's really all I've got to say today. I'm thankful that I had another great safe evening driving. And now I get to relax, grab some food, and my receiver is really a right out of TA and then a right on the next block, and I'm there. So with that being said, stay safe, make great decisions, and like it happened to me yesterday, it took me 6 attempts to back into this dock. A, because it was tight, and B, because stuff was in front of me, stuff was to the side of me, and for some odd reason, both trailers were away from the dock about 3-4 feet, thus impaling my approach. So it took me a couple of different angles to finally wedge myself in there, and I had to get out about 5 times just to make sure that my blind side was in good shape. So remember, stay safe, make great decisions, and get out if you're not sure of your surroundings. Have a great day.